Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Momma Friendly, and I do all sorts of videos on my channel, from cooking videos to planner videos, vlogs, hauls, homeschool videos with a Disney twist, a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, I hope that you'll subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. For the last couple of years, we've been doing Disney homeschool themed videos around Disney movies, characters, or rides. This year, I decided to change things up and we're still doing Disney themed homeschooling, but we're going to be centering our lessons around the Epcot World Showcase. I thought this would be a great theme to base our lessons on because it gives us so much opportunity for different branches of learning. Obviously, we're learning about geography. We're going to learn about each of the different countries' languages and traditions and culture, how people live there as opposed to how we live. So we've got social studies thrown in the mix as well. I'm of course throwing in a lot of life skills. So cooking has always been an important part of our homeschool series, and we're going to aim to create an authentic recipe every single time that has to do with the country or traditions that we're studying. And of course, from a sensory perspective, I love including art projects in our theming, so every video is going to include at least 1 or 2 different art projects. Something else to consider is that my child is on the autism spectrum. He has nonverbal autism, and so we're going to be tailoring the activities obviously to his level because he is the child that I am teaching. You can of course feel free to tailor these activities to whatever developmental or educational level makes sense for the kiddos that you're teaching. I'm gonna do my best to include resources and activities in a Pinterest board that pertains to each and every theme. So all of these videos are gonna have a Pinterest board linked in the description box so you could check it out. This will give you some ideas for activities that we didn't get to cover in the video, or even ideas for taking the activities we did do and tweaking them to fit kiddos of different ages or different abilities. One big consideration that I wanted to make before jumping into this particular string of themed videos is that I wanted to make sure to approach this from a place of cultural appreciation and not appropriation. I want to be able to respect the people and the traditions of these countries without resorting to tropes. That being said, we're going to try to be as authentic as possible in all of our facts, in all of our art activities, especially in all of our recipes. I'm going to try my best to outsource this information from people native to the countries that we're studying wherever I'm able. So now that I've explained a little bit about what we're trying to do here, let's jump into the country for this month. Alright friends, as always, I've got a nice little playlist happening here with all sorts of fun facts about France for kids. We've got tons of videos here. We've got videos about French culture. We have French language videos for kiddos. Things to do in Paris if you were actually to visit there. I have a video down here that I think is super interesting. Things that are different in France, comparing and contrasting our way of life with that of a typical French person. The last video in the playlist is of course from 4KWDW. This is my favorite channel for Disney related tours, and this video is of course a tour of the France Pavilion at Epcot. So you can see here they have all sorts of displays of clothing from French cinema and opera, which I think is really cool. There's a couple of really nice restaurants in the France Pavilion. And we've also got Beauty and the Beast meeting here. There's a really pretty fountain and of course topiaries during the festival times. France is one of our must stops whenever we're at Epcot, if only to get a snack in the bakery that's hidden away in the back of the pavilion. They have an ice cream shop here as well. Lots of options, lots of things to do and see, so I definitely recommend making a stop here if you're ever in Epcot. Alright, Pallies, once again, we're going to be using our unofficial Disney Parks Epcot cookbook, and we're going to be making Boeuf Bourguignon. Obviously, I'm mispronouncing that, but this is from the Chefs de France in the France Pavilion. It's a fancy little bistro type restaurant in the pavilion that I've personally never eaten at. And I'm assuming that this is going to be pretty close to how they prepare it. It's actually an Instant Pot recipe or electric pressure cooker, whichever brand you happen to have. I'm sure with some adjustments to cooking time, you could also probably make this in a slow cooker, but I am going to be using my Instant Pot today. So we're going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I have avocado oil, so that's what I'm going to use. And this is going to be divided. You're going to use 1 tablespoon at one point and another tablespoon at a different point of the recipe. 1 pound of beef chuck tender roast cut into 6 chunks. This is actually 2 pounds, so I'm going to use half of this and cut it in 6 pieces. 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of fresh ground black pepper, a cup of beef broth. I happen to have chicken broth though that I have left over from another recipe and I need to use it up, so I might as well. A cup of red cooking wine, 2 teaspoons of fresh minced garlic. This is fresh garlic, it is not yet minced. 3 large carrots, peeled and cut into 1-inch chunks on a diagonal. It calls for a cup of frozen pearl onions. I looked in 4 different stores and nobody had frozen pearl onions. So I have cocktail onions, which is basically the same thing, except these have a vinegar solution. So they're not going to taste quite the same. Our recipe is going to have a little bit more of a zing. I am going to rinse them, but I'm sure the onions obviously have absorbed some flavor. So just a note that you could use these if you, like me, come up short on the frozen ones. 3 tablespoons of salted butter, again divided. We're not going to use all 3 tablespoons at once. 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. We're going to use this to make a slurry with some water later to thicken our cooking sauce into like a gravy of sorts. A half pound of cooked linguine. I imagine that this is how it is served at the restaurant as a side. I do not have linguine, but I did find gluten-free spaghetti, so this is what I am going to boil and serve with my beef. And lastly, you can have some fresh chives to serve on top. I'm going to be sprinkling mine with some dried parsley. So in the pot of my pressure cooker, I'm going to add a tablespoon of the oil and press the saute button. I'm going to give it 5 minutes to allow the pot to come up to temperature. I'm going to cut my beef into those 6 pieces it asked for, and I'm going to season it on all sides with salt and pepper. Once my pot is hot, I'm going to sear 3 chunks, about a minute or so on each side until it's browned. Then I'm going to transfer them out, put some more olive oil in, and I'm going to sear the remaining beef. Once all the beef is seared and removed from the pot, I'm going to add in my broth and my wine and use that to scrape all the meat bits off the bottom. This is called deglazing the pan, and it's going to make sure that all those yummy burnt beef bits are going to add their flavor to our cooking sauce. Next, we'll add in our garlic, carrots, and onions. Return the meat to the pot, seal the lid and valve, and set it to pressure cook for 1 hour until the internal temperature of the meat is 160 Fahrenheit. Once the hour's passed, we're going to release the pressure, strain the contents, but retain the juice. Don't just throw it down the drain. We're going to press saute again on the pot and add a tablespoon of butter. Pour in 1.5 cups of the reserved cooking juice. And now we're going to combine the cornstarch and water in a small cup and stir it well. You want to make sure you do this with the cold water and then add it to the heat, otherwise the cornstarch will clump up. Gradually pour the mixture into the pot while whisking vigorously. Continue to whisk frequently and saute about 5 minutes. Cook up your pasta and then toss the remaining 2 tablespoons of butter with it. Divide it into 2 wide, shallow bowls and place 3 meat chunks into the other side of each bowl. Top the meat with carrots and onions and drizzle the meat with gravy from the pot. Sprinkle with herbs and serve immediately. A little taste of Chef's de France right in your kitchen. Hey my friends, I thought that it would be fun for our French art/sensory activity to make our own soap. The reason I decided that this would be a good idea is because in the Middle Ages, or dating all the way back to the Middle Ages, we as a world were introduced to the concept of French milled soap, which was a soap that was made exclusively on Marseille for a really long time by royal decree, and it was the soap that all of Europe depended on when the rest of the continent was having supply shortages to make their own soaps. So France became very popular for their French milled soap, and so I thought that that would be a good kind of connection to history and then now our modern interpretation. Not to say that this will in any way equal the quality of a proper French milled soap, but we're just having fun, right? We're having fun, we're learning. So let me go ahead and open up our package here. This package makes up to 10 soaps. Oh, it's got a very hefty how-to book, which is exciting. We've got a bunch of little molds here. Ooh, lots of paints. I guess this is our actual soap base. And what is this? Oh, coconut papaya fragrance. That's exciting. And then we've got some decorative stuff here. I'm guessing this is like to wrap the soap. Maybe some of this stuff is to put into the soaps. That's pretty cool. So that's everything that comes in the box. Let's see what our instructions are going to be here. Oh yeah, that's cute. You could put the little fish inside the soap. That's hilarious. So for the grown-ups, this is everything you should bring, right? You need a 2-cup microwave-safe glass measuring cup, a cutting board, knife, and rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle. See, I don't have that. I do have rubbing alcohol, and I probably have a spray bottle, so I guess I can make that happen. And then a long-handled spoon, spatula, or chopstick, I'm assuming to mix. This is pretty cool. It explains how the soap actually works and makes the bubbles to wash your hands. Microwave method, this is probably what we're going to do. So place 2 blocks of soap base and 2 color tablets, which I imagine are these guys, into our measuring cup. Heat it for 10 seconds, make sure it doesn't bubble or boil, and then it actually tells you down here, depending on which mold you want to use, how many blocks you're going to need. I think we could go ahead and make the star, so we'll just use the 2 blocks. After 10 seconds, they're not going to be completely melted, so you just want to give them a stir. If you're going to use the scent, that's when you do it. Keep microwaving in 10-second increments and stir until everything is smooth and melted and mixed evenly. And then pour it into the mold and let it cool for 30 minutes. That sounds super easy. I do like that it shows you how you can put other little toys and stuff into the soap. So this kit looks like it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so I'll let my son pick out the colors and then we'll do some melting. I'll have him help me pour and help me mix. And let's make some soap, I guess. So it turns out you don't even really need a knife. You can just break these apart with your hands, which is pretty handy to know. What colors do you want? Do you want pink, red, yellow, green, blue? Okay, we chose a red and a blue, so I guess we're making purple soap. Okay, after 10 minutes, it already started to get a little melty, and also, I don't think that was red. That might have been yellow, so I think we're making green soap, actually. I like the color so far, but I'm gonna put it back in there for another 10 seconds. And when I took it out, it was actually bubbling and foaming up. So I'm going to say that this is ready. And for the 2 blocks and the 2 bits of color, it only took 20 seconds total. I'm also using a 1-cup measuring cup because I don't have a 2-cup. And that worked out just fine for this amount of soap. Can you put it in the star? Pour, 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 pour. Wow. You can put more. Nice work. That's a beautiful green star. Bloop, 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 bloop. All right, so if this goes to plan, then within a half hour, we'll come back and find that we have a proper bar of soap. That's gonna do it for our France-themed homeschool unit study. We had a lot of fun with this one. The soap is adorable. It actually lathers up pretty well, and we've got plenty left in the kit to continue making more. It was really easy, and I always love an art activity that leads to something functional, you know, something that you can continue using. This definitely fits that bill. And the recipe. Wow, that was really tasty. My husband and I actually had that for dinner when I made it, and he does not eat gluten or dairy free. It's not his thing at all. Actually, a lot of the times I have to kind of like push him to try the food that I make that's gluten and dairy free, but he loved it, and he was so impressed that I managed to make like a nice thick sauce without the use of flour. It was really tasty. It's something that's going to make it into our regular dinner rotation for sure. He actually had his on some mashed potatoes, and that looked even better. I had mine with the pasta because that's how they serve it at the restaurant, and it was really good that way too. But next time I make it, mashed potatoes all around. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, all the materials I used, videos I showed you guys, books we read, etc., they're all going to be linked down in the description box below, so that if you want to get them for yourself, it's easy to do so. I've got the Pinterest board linked down below as well. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for being here and watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you'll please give it a big thumbs up. I'd also love it if you would subscribe and click that notification bell, because I post at least 3 times a week and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. See you real soon.